Christians have long been wary of the mainstream media, and for good reason. The motivations behind the reporting and presentation of news by these outlets are often shrouded in bias, agenda-driven narratives, and a general disdain for traditional Christian values. As a result, Christians have come to realize that they cannot trust the motivations of the mainstream media, and this mistrust is rooted in several key factors. First and foremost, the mainstream media has a well-documented history of liberal bias. Studies have consistently shown that the majority of journalists and news anchors identify as liberal or Democrat, which inevitably influences the way they report on certain issues. This bias is particularly pronounced when it comes to topics such as abortion, gay marriage, and religious freedom. The media's tendency to frame these issues in a way that is antagonistic to Christian values has led many believers to question the objectivity and fairness of their reporting. Another reason Christians cannot trust the motivations of the mainstream media is the lack of representation and understanding of Christian perspectives. The media often relies on secular experts to comment on religious issues rather than seeking out legitimate Christian voices. This results in a distorted view of Christianity, with many reporters and anchors displaying a fundamental lack of understanding of Christian theology and practice. For example, the media's coverage of issues such as the LGBTQ+ movement often portrays Christians as intolerant and bigoted, rather than acknowledging the nuanced and compassionate perspectives that many believers bring to the table. Furthermore, the mainstream media has a tendency to sensationalize and exaggerate stories that cast Christians in a negative light. The 24-hour news cycle and the need for clicks and ratings can lead to a focus on controversy and scandal, rather than balanced and nuanced reporting. This can result in the perpetuation of negative stereotypes and the reinforcement of misconceptions about Christianity. For instance, the media's coverage of high-profile scandals involving Christian leaders or organizations often receives disproportionate attention, while the many positive contributions of Christians to society are ignored or downplayed. In addition, the mainstream media's commitment to secularism and the separation of church and state can lead to a dismissive and hostile attitude towards Christian values and principles. The media often views Christianity as a relic of the past, outdated and intolerant worldview that is in need of updating and reform. This attitude is reflected in a way that Christian beliefs and practices are often mocked or belittled in the media, with many reporters and anchors displaying a clear disdain for the idea of objective moral truth. The rise of social media has also played a significant role in the erosion of trust between Christians and the mainstream media. The proliferation of fake news and the manipulation of information on social media platforms has made it increasingly difficult for Christians to discern fact from fiction. The mainstream media's propensity to amplify and promote certain narratives over others has led to a sense of confusion and disillusionment among many believers who feel that the media is more interested in pushing a particular agenda than in reporting the truth. Finally, the mainstream media's close ties to powerful interests and ideologies have led many Christians to question the motivations behind their reporting. The media's reliance on advertising revenue and its connections to wealthy donors and corporations can result in a conflict of interest, with reporters and anchors feeling pressured to promote certain narratives or ideologies over others. This can lead to a lack of transparency and accountability, with the media prioritizing the interests of their sponsors and benefactors over the pursuit of truth and objectivity. In conclusion, Christians have good reason to be skeptical of the motivations behind the mainstream media's reporting and presentation of news. The media's liberal bias, lack of representation and understanding of Christian perspectives, tendency to sensationalize and exaggerate, commitment to secularism, and close ties to powerful interests and ideologies have all contributed to a sense of mistrust and disillusionment among many believers. As a result, Christians must be discerning and cautious in their consumption of mainstream media, seeking out alternative sources of news and information that are committed to truth, objectivity, and fairness.